question I asked him, Ace, one of the things that came out of this that a lot of fans have said to me is, I know you went out and toured with Peter together. I guess it was about 99 or something like that. You did that Bad Boys tour, but now you guys are obviously in a different place. I'm not saying would you ever tour together, but now that you guys have, mended whatever bridges and reconnected and all that, would you consider maybe even doing a song with him or going and doing something with him at some point musically?
I don't see that happening at this juncture. I'm working on a new CD. I'm working on my second book, and I'm going in a different direction. I mean, when I read Peter's book, it's like, Christ, he opens up the book where he's got a gun in his mouth. I mean, when you buy Peter's book on Amazon, you go down to the bottom of the page and it says people who bought this book, bought a stool and a rope,
But I loved Peter's book because it was so, he put it all out there like that. I mean, he really spoke for, anybody knows Peter, he speaks from the heart, man. And and I thought that was reflected in his book as well.
Yeah, he forgot to say that him and Paul were chronic masturbators too. We used to trade Hustlers and Playboys and Penthouse magazines with each other.
Well, you guys can all write. I understand Paul's writing a book too, so you guys can all continue to. It'd be nice if you could communicate more than through the books, though, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, we do from time to time. What did Paul say not that long ago in the press that we were never really friends?
Yeah, well, they've said a lot of stuff. Do you want to address any of that?
I just thought it was hysterical. I mean, I lived with the guy for years. We exchanged Christmas presents, and he's telling me he's not my friend.
Yeah, well, listen, there's a lot of things that strike me as strange, and I have my theories on it. But, I mean, you guys were actually not only just a couple years ago, you told me you actually spent a lot of time talking to him, as a matter of fact, didn't you?
Well, we had reconnected on the phone. I mean, I remember when Gene was doing his roast. I called Paul and we were talking about, I go, Paul, you going to do it? I called Peter, Paul said it wasn't in his comfort zone. Peter said he didn't want to do it, So, I bowed out gracefully, but, and then, we talked a few other times after that, and I called him when I was in L.A. when I was doing the Dimebag thing, at the Rock Walk of Fame.
Right.
But the last couple of years, we really haven't touched base as much.
So what do you think is going on here, Ace? Because obviously, again, you guys are nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's absurd that this didn't happen 15 years ago when you were first eligible, and it's still being discussed. But you've obviously heard what Gene allegedly said and the quotes and about the induction and all that. Where do you stand on all that?
Well, look, I'm happy that I'm going to be inducted most likely next year in April in New York City, and it should be a great event. There's no way Gene can put a lid on it. I mean, what's he going to do?
Well, if he keeps saying things like he said, or some variation of it, well, we wouldn't want to play with them or whatever. I mean, I think that actually hurts. I think that hurts the chances of the band finally getting in because, that's not what anybody wants to hear. Even the most hardcore fan in the world, nobody's looking for a reunion tour, but they're looking for the original band to be inducted in to at least do kind of like what you guys did at the party. Clearly, you can all get up and do a couple songs. That's the only way it should go down.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll reverse his stand. He doesn't want to play with me anymore at all. I don't know what's up with Gene. He used to say to me in the 70s, every time I did something stupid, he'd go, "Hey, you're shooting yourself in the foot again." He's been shooting himself in the foot for years.
Well, yeah, he has. And the one thing that I think is he continues to dwell on the past, it seems. He doesn't want to acknowledge you or Peter for the people that you've become today. As you said, and congratulations, you're sober 7 years. The interviews still continue to dwell on what was instead of an acknowledgement for what is. And I think that's unfortunate as well.
Gene's living in the past. He's become a caricature of himself, I mean, from the very beginning, his only motivation was money. The guy has no friends. He's not respected by his peers. He's pissed off thousands of fans. He's never had a hit single like I've had. I had the most successful Gibson Signature Series guitar in history. He didn't. It goes on and on. He took the safe route. He never got loaded. He never partied. I took the same route. Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, Keith Richards, Jim Morrison. The name, it's endless. I have all this life experience, and thank God I can live to talk about it. What's he going to talk about? All he can do is badmouth other people.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I mean, I wrote something on my site just a couple of days ago, and I firmly believe it. I think that a lot of it is a defense mechanism because if you follow the history, it's all about trying to sell what is happening now. And what is happening now is two guys impersonating you and Peter, and that's what they need to try to sell. And that's what they're working on selling. So, it's trying to almost... I don't know if it's trying to rewrite history or just trying so hard to sell what they're doing now, but I don't know how you move on when the two people you have in the band now are recreating or trying to what you and Peter did. It doesn't make sense to me. It never did. Everybody knows how I feel. I'm not going to rehash it now, but I think that apparently he retracted his quote and said he was misquoted about the whole Hall of Fame thing. I don't know if that's a backpedal or he really was, but I don't think anybody, even the most hardcore Kiss fan, could possibly live through a scenario where there would be the current version of the band playing in place of you and Peter. That would be a travesty of the highest order. So let's hope. The whole point about this, Ace, is I'm worried about the Hall of Fame because the fact that you guys have been ignored by them pretty much for 15 years is staggering to me. And this is still not a done deal. You guys were nominated, as I'm sure you know, in the past, once before, and not gone in. So let's hope that we have something to talk about, and this actually does finally happen this time around.
And come on. If we don't get voted in this time around, the Kiss fans are going to burn down the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Come on. I was looking at the list of the people that were inducted. I'm really in shock of how many, what do you call it, rap guys and, music that isn't rock and roll, and it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't get it.